So you're talking to me through your phone, but recording on your iPad. Is that what's happening?
That's right. I don't believe I can combine those two things onto one iOS device unless we use some sort of web service to do it or a dedicated app. But, I mean, there's no need.
Right. So we don't have a dedicated spot in the show notes for it. So I'm just going to throw it out here now at the top of the show. On what phone are you talking to me?
I got a new iPhone, right? It's iPhone 14 season, so I got a new iPhone. Except it's a 13 Pro Max, as it happens, because I had issues trying to get a 14 thanks to my telco, and it then meant there was no chance I would get it before I left for Germany. So I gave up on that, and then one just popped up on the local classifieds, a 13 Pro Max 256 gig at probably the lowest price I've seen on the classifieds, and I have been monitoring them for a few months, probably due to the 14's release, of course. And also, since it was being sold by a shop, I could do the whole tax back claim because I'm leaving the country. It was just too good an opportunity to pass up, so I went and bought it. And yeah.
So what made you change your mind? Because the last I heard, you had a new battery and your 10, and it was going to be good enough.
I think it's because I convinced myself I was going to get a 14, and then I couldn't. And then when I saw this at like $1,000 off what the price of a 14 was, I just couldn't pass up the opportunity. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, it was. You already got your hopes up. You had to do something.
I had to do something. Yeah, my pockets were burning. That's not the expression.
Burning a hole in your pocket, your money.
No, well, I didn't really. There's definitely an expression. I had itchy fingers.
You had. Oh, itchy fingers. Okay, that's more appropriate than mine. I was going to say you have new phone blue balls. You wanted to get a new phone.
Needed a new phone.
Mm-hmm.
A new phone, blue balls. That is the show title.
10 minutes in, we already found the title. We'll see how many more we can come up with in the next hour and a half.
All right. I don't want to give any sort of review on the iPhone 13 because it's the iPhone 14's show. But getting an iPhone 13 Pro now, I have a regret now that I didn't have a newer phone or that I held on to the 10 for so long. It's kind of the only regret that I didn't upgrade earlier, is that this thing is just so incredibly fast compared to the iPhone 10. I knew the 10 was kind of getting long in the tooth because I've been using Yasmin's 12, and 12 is much faster. But the 13 Pro is just on a different level. And I would, without exaggerating, say that something that took me like a minute to do on the 10 takes like 10 seconds on the 13 Pro. It is just, I mean, I just cringe at the amount of time I've wasted on the 10 over the past few years, when I could have been doing everything so much faster. It's incredible.
I'm just thinking quickly. I think... So you got that 10, like, right at the start of this show. It was the phone you had when we started the podcast 5 years ago. And in that time, I've owned seven phones? 7 or 8?
I mean... I think I too have owned 7 or 8 phones in that time, but I am back on the 10, which we also started the show with. It was in Yasmin's hands for a while, if you remember. I think you remember well all the other phones I had and had destroyed at no fault of my own.
Yeah, you had just a spree of SEs for a while there. And the 12 mini was yours for a while, right?
That's right, yep, I had the 12 mini. Yeah. I don't think I had it for very long, though, before Yasmin claimed it off me.
No, it didn't feel like it was very long.
So this experience has taught me that having the latest phone is worthwhile, because my previous reason for having the latest phone was the best camera, but I know typically carry a big camera with me anyway, so that wasn't like a reason to upgrade anymore. But this experience has taught me that having the fastest phone is well and truly worth it, just to save time in every single thing you do on your phone, which is just more and more every year.
Do you still edit the podcast on your phone, or are you on an iPad for that? I guess you got the Air now.
Actually, I've been doing it on my Mac in Adobe Audition for a couple of months now, but I intend to do this one back on my iPad in Ferrite, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay. So this will be the first one you've done on the iPad then?
Ever since I was doing it on the iPad Pro 9-inch back 11-inch, whenever that was, a few years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing else to say about the 13, I suppose. Great phone, huge, very fast. I like it. And I got a gold one, and then I got a purple leather case to wrap around it. The gold and the purple complement each other nicely.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell. You sent me a photo, but it was in shadow, so I really couldn't tell what color it was.
Yeah, I'd only just bought it then. I hadn't even set it up yet when I sent you that photo. Because you sent me a sticker in an app that didn't even work on my 10 anymore. I think that's the first instance where I've gone to use an app and it was incompatible with my phone. That was an experience as well. So yeah, luckily I had the 13 sitting in the shadows, so I just sent you a quick photo of it.
I might as well call the app out. It's called Sticker Drop, and it was released alongside iOS 16, and lets you pull the subject out of any photo and turn it into a sticker you can stick on your iMessages, and I have had a very good time playing with that the last few days.
It's just the perfect complement to the pull out the subject from the photo feature in iOS 16 and then instantly turn it into a sticker and flick it into an iMessage. Yep. I've been using it a lot too.
Oh, okay, good. So it's a feature that I've thought should exist in some capacity for as long as like the iMessage App Store has been around and the ability to put stickers. I'm like, I just want to make my own stickers, and the way to do that in the past was like open Xcode and like write up your own sticker pack and put the photos in there that you want. But this is way nicer.
It's a pity it doesn't sync with iCloud though, because I made some stickers on my iPad and then they weren't on the phone and vice versa.
Yep, I just learned that today setting up my new phone.
What? Why? Surely you're restored from a backup.
I'm a little bit sadistic, I guess. I never restore from backup when I get a new phone.
Okay.
That's my chance to like clean shop. I won't install any apps that I'm not using anymore. Things like that. And maybe this is an old-fashioned mindset, but I feel like restoring from a backup has like the possibility of like bringing in bloat or things that were slowing down my device in the past, and a fresh start gives my phone the best chance of having a longer life, I guess. I don't know.
I bet there is a lot of that stuff on iOS that we just don't see, because I know on Mac you can just find so much junk through the file system from stuff you've deleted before. Like Xcode alone can leave like 100 gig on your drive from one tiny project. So there's no Xcode on iOS really, but there are probably examples of that we just can't see because it's hard to see into the file system.
Yeah, that, and I like playing on the betas up until the new device comes out, but now I'm going to be like, I'm back in lockstep with official releases. So like my 13 Pro was on the 16.1 beta already, but now I'm back on 16.0, and I don't think I can restore from a 16.1 backup, so that would have been annoying anyway.
Okay. A few other bits of follow-up before we get into things. So last show I was having issues transferring photos directly from my camera to the iPad with USB-C cables, and I had ordered a USB-C SD card reader, the original Apple one, or authentic Apple one, or Apple branded one, whatever. And yeah, it's incredibly fast. It's definitely USB 3 by the speeds it goes. So I don't know what's going on with direct connections, but the card reader has solved it, so I don't care anymore.
Oh, good. We had chatted last episode about potential things that I could do with my Series 5 Apple Watch now that I ordered a new one. And one of your suggestions, I believe, was getting a necklace chain so that I could let my daughter wear the watch and I could use that as like an advanced tracker, better than an AirTag when we're out and about. And so I did. I ordered a necklace chain adapter from Amazon. It's the High Pi necklace adapter pendant, compatible with Apple Watch Infinity and double loop connector. Comes with 32-inch stainless Rollo wheat chain, 3mm for iWatch Series 7654 SE, 44mm, 45mm Infinity loop. And
is that printed on the box as well?
It didn't come in a box. It just came loose in a bag.
Awesome.
But it's nice. I realized you kind of have to. You can't hang the watch so that it's oriented upright when it's hanging. It's got to be hanging upside down. Otherwise, there's not a good way to ever get a look at the screen. But once you hang it upside down, it connects in place, which I guess is the most important thing. It even came with like a little filler lug for the opposite side, so you could slide that in and it just like rounds off the case so it looks continuous and there's not a gap.
That's nice.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to experiment with that. I also came across some Apple documentation just a couple days ago that with the Apple Care that I have on my Apple Watch, it covers battery replacements for any batteries that are less than 80% battery health. And the battery health of my Series 5 is at 82% right now. So I think, I don't know how long it's going to take, but a few months' time, when the battery health degrades another couple percent, I can bring it into Apple for replacement. And as you've experienced with Apple Watch repairs, they really just give you a new watch. So at that time, I'll basically have a new Series 5 that I can use for things like tracking my daughter or whatever else, and it'll have a full battery.
Very nice. And will you just add and remove the cellular plan as you like take it on a day trip or something like that?
Potentially. I don't know how difficult that is to do. I haven't actually added a device to my plan since the Series 3, when that was a new feature. I set it up and then didn't use it for a year, so I haven't activated it again since then.
So wait, you would have turned it on though and like gone somewhere without your phone though, surely?
I mean, yeah, I tested it and acknowledged that it worked, but I never go anywhere without my phone, so I just never got any use out of it.
Okay. It's still very easy. I mean, I've got it turned on and have turned it on and off a few times in the last few months. It's like 3 taps on the phone screen and it's come, and then another 3 taps and it's gone.
Okay. Well, it's definitely something I'm going to do. I'm just not going to do it right now. I'm going to wait until like our next trip, and then I'll bother getting all that configured and paying for it. So we'll see when that is, but I think that's the route I'm going to go for now with that.
So it'll also be set up as a family member device, right? Not as on your account.
Right. And she's already has her own iCloud account, and she's registered as like my child. So it's really simple, especially, I don't know if it's iOS 16 or if it was last year, where you can set up a family device I think this is just iOS 16. You can set up a family member's device from your own. So when I went to activate like my new Apple Watch today, it asked me for who in the family I was setting it up.
I think that was
so
an
I'll be
iOS 15 feature, but yeah, I've seen that too.
Okay. So yeah, so like I'll be able to set it up for her and get it connected to my phone plan at that point. And I think I pay $5 a month for that. So it's, it's going to be worth having.
Oh yeah, definitely. For a pittance like that.
Right.
Especially when your phone bill is $700 a month alone.
I mean, it's not cheap. It's like $100 a month.
Oh yeah, that's right. You got it way down. Talk to me about unicorn tokens.
I don't want to talk to you about unicorn tokens.
Why is that?
Because
your
you
first
won.
loss. I won.
I'm going to challenge that just a little bit because
I think I know why.
we ended up playing the game a little bit there in the end where you guessed some things you said you didn't think were going to happen. And then I made some guesses that were just for the sake of being opposite of yours. And
let's not say I made guesses. I made a single one that was in line with you just to play the game. A single guess. Which was the AirPods Pro. And yeah, I actually had a little laugh because I was re-listening to the show yesterday just to give myself like any reminders about context or extra information surrounding our answers. And you started reading out that question and I thought, oh no, I thought I got all the predictions right, but there's no way I thought AirPods were coming at the event. And then I said, look, I'll just do what you do. And I got it.
And then, okay, so you re-listened to this. This is me just trying to go off of memory from a couple weeks ago. But I'm fairly sure I said around the Apple TV topic, I don't think it's coming, but I'm going to guess it is just to be different than yours.
Yeah, I think you said that. Fairly sure.
Okay. Anyway, congratulations. It's about time. It was well earned.
You really don't sound like you mean that.
Do you have your breakdown in front of you for what you scored on these questions?
I was just trying to pull it up actually, but it's taking a few taps because it's gone. I don't know, how do I suppose it'll be in my messages, why not? Let me just go there quickly. Okay, yeah. Do you want to quickly go through it? It's kind of
Sure, we could go down
a topic. I guess we're just jumping straight into the show now, hey?
I suppose slightly.
Good morning, just once.
Oh, good morning. All right.
Only once, yes.
All right. Question 1. Will Apple finally unveil AirPods Pro 2? I got 41 tokens on that one.
Will Apple finally unveil the AirPods Pro 2? I also got 41 because I copied your answer to play safe.
That's right. The next one, will there be any memeable Craig moments? I lost 10 tokens on that. I'm pretty sure you answered correctly, though.
Yes, because I had done a little bit of research and hadn't seen Craig, so I had actually put 100, I think, on no and earned 150 tokens off the back of that one.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. That was definitely the safer bet. I think had I known that it was just going to be a pre-recorded episode or pre-recorded keynote entirely again, that would have been more understandable. But I was hoping that they were going to do some on-stage stuff because they invited people to Apple Park.
Fair.
Which chip will the iPhone 14 have? I earned 52 tokens on that.
I earned 176 tokens on that one.
Okay. So you're putting much more confident answers.
Yeah, that did earn me a few. But if you remember, you said that the iPhone 14 non-Pro would get the iPhone 13 Pro's chip, which is indeed what happened. So you at least earned some kudos off that.
Yeah, they did market it exactly how I predicted they would, as getting the Pro's chip and not being renamed or anything. Will the Apple Watch Series 8 have temperature sensing capabilities? I earned 134 tokens on that one.
Yeah, same here.
As far as ovulation tracking being the reason to add it, though, that was not something that either one of us predicted, or anyone in the rumor mill, as far as I was aware.
I didn't even know that was possible to do, but there you go.
Will Apple show off the rumored Apple Watch Pro? And I got 149 tokens on that one.
As did I.
Okay.
Wasn't called the Pro, but
Will there be...
as we said, anything that was a more expensive Apple Watch would earn the points on that one.
I'm glad it wasn't Pro. I think Ultra makes more sense, I guess, for what it is. Pro is like, I don't know. It's professional isn't really a diver, hiker, whatever. That doesn't really line up in my mind.
No, and Ultra is the modifier for people who do extreme versions of things, like an ultra marathon. So it's perfectly logical.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Will there be an iPhone 14 Max? I got 158 tokens on that.
Rumors were strong.
They did not use the name Max, which I've got a big problem with.
All right, we'll get into that later, but...
Okay. How many megapixels will the 14 Pro Max wide camera have? I got 45 tokens on that for predicting 48 megapixels.
I earned 45 tokens. I'm not sure why I didn't go whole hog on that, considering the rumors. I do like that they've called it a main camera now instead of a wide camera.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense for the lay person, which is very much me. Will the Apple TV 7th Gen be revealed? And I lost 10 tokens.
I earned 16.
Will we see 10th Gen base model iPad? I earned 248 tokens on that one.
Wow.
I don't understand how that's... Do you earn extra tokens for like going against the crowd or something on your guesses?
Well, all the no tokens go into the yes pool, so yes, you do.
Oh, I see. I wasn't aware that's how that worked. Okay. So what did you get on that one?
I earned 24 tokens. I had a very lacking confidence.
Oh wow.
10 token bear.
Dang. So I made up some ground there, but it wasn't good enough. Will there be a 14 mini? I earned 149 tokens.
Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. I was wondering how I could have earned a different amount. Mini. 149 tokens as well.
Yeah. All right. Will there be a new Apple Watch SE? I only got 19 tokens on that one.
Me too. Only 19 tokens.
You can barely call it a new SE. They took the old SE and they put the S8 in it, but the S8 is identical to the previous chips. So is it really new?
Is it really? Didn't they drop the price as well?
Yeah, it's a little cheaper now. Will the Apple Silicon Mac Pro be unveiled? I got 185 tokens for saying no on that one.
So did I. Looking forward to October then.
Yeah, October or November. And will we see new iPad Pros? I got 229 tokens on that one.
Wow, a lot of people must have thought that we would see them. So I also got 229 tokens. And iPad Pro and Mac Pro together at last, maybe, in an October event.
Maybe. So kudos to you, James.
For getting 100% correct predictions. Thank you.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's not bad going, is it? But you are the person who actually won a prize. Tell us more.
All right. So after our episode 2 weeks ago, you text me a link to another Apple keynote guessing game that was being hosted by Peak Design, and they had a $10,000 prize for whoever could answer, who could ever get most of their questions correct. And they had some pretty standard ones. I think like number of megapixels on the iPhone camera were some of their questions, but they had more obscure ones like what color shoes is Tim Cook gonna wear?
Would they say the word teraflops or something like that?
Right. Yeah. Will someone use the phrase under the hood?
Did they?
There was a question. No, they didn't. There was a question about like at what time stamp are we going to see the new iPhones for the first time? So a little trickier. I didn't win $10,000, but I did come in the top 500 people. So
top 500
I got
of how many? Do you know?
A free case. It was included in the email, so I could look it up real quick.
Peak Design is not a small company. They're a worldwide company. I mean, this was limited to North America, maybe even the USA. I did the quiz anyway, just to see how I went, and lied about my location. Didn't place anywhere, though.
So I came in the top 500 of just shy of 42,000.
Very impressive.
Thank you. So just before our show started, I went on their website and I ordered a case for my new iPhone.
A non-Apple case.
Yeah, I'm not really a case. I just linked it to you in the Discord. It's their Peak Design everyday case. I'm not a big case person. I do like the look of this case specifically. And I like a lot of stuff Peak Design makes. I've never looked at their phone cases before, but I like their messenger bags and stuff quite a bit.
Yeah, I've got a lot of Peak Design stuff. Does it have a pop socket hole in the back? It's hard to tell from this little photo.
So Peak Design has their whole they have like a proprietary MagSafe system that existed, I guess, before MagSafe, where they've got a bunch of accessories like car mounts or bike mounts or tripods or things like that their cases magnetically snap into. And it's stronger than MagSafe, and you can see that little dimple in the back. So there's a little bit more of like a mechanical friction mount because there's like this peg that inserts slightly to really keep your phone connected to the accessory. So I figured the case is free. I like the design of it enough. I'll go ahead and order it. I'll try it out on my phone, and if I like it well enough, I might pick up a few of their accessories. For a friend of mine and I are talking about biking on some trails near here. So I thought this would be a good chance to like buy their bike mount, and this would be a way for me to attach my phone because I don't trust MagSafe to be strong enough on bike trails.
Gosh, no.
Yeah, but this accessory seems like it could be, so I might be using it just for that, if nothing else.
All right, I look forward to your review. I was just completely unaware that Peak Design even made phone cases. I thought it was all camera gear. Right,
yeah. My proudest guess of the whole thing was actually the timestamp of when we were going to see the new iPhones. My guess, and I assume what put me so high up in the rankings, was I guessed it would be at the 50-minute mark that we were going to see the new iPhones. And the new iPhones were unveiled at the 50-minute and 13-second mark.
So you were 13 seconds off. Wow.
Right.
I'm trying to see if I can see my answers somewhere just to see what I guessed, but no, I can't see them. I think maybe I guessed around like... Oh, wait, here we go. Dum, 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 dum. Where is this? I guess the 30-minute mark. Way off.
I knew that they'd be unveiled after the Apple Watch, and I knew there's going to be a new Apple Watch, so it's going to take longer than average. So that's kind of how I got to 50 minutes, but
Yeah, I think I looked at previous shows and then took an average. So, not, yeah, once you count in the new model of Apple Watch, your answer makes a lot more sense. Well done.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm excited to put a case on my phone for the first time in a while and see what I think. We are well past the actual keynote, and every podcast and YouTube channel has all already done like their like breakdown of every single thing that was said on stage, and now like devices are already in people's hands and reviews of the devices are already out. So I didn't put like a whole like list of the keynote in our show notes for this episode to walk through, because I felt like that'd be too little too late on our part.
Yeah, and you've got a 14 Pro in your hands, so you can give us, I mean, you haven't had it for very long, but you can give us your real life experience instead of us just going through a spec sheet, hey?
Yeah. And before we get to the devices I have, though, I did want to share some insight from my little brother, who has never had an iPhone before, but has been having a bad experience with his Google Pixel phones, in particular getting his phone serviced through Google. I don't know what specifically was wrong with his phone, but he sent it to Google to get repaired, and they said they couldn't repair it, and they sent it back, but they didn't send him back his phone. He got someone else's phone back in the mail.
On purpose or by mistake?
No, just by mistake. And then they refused to like help him get his own phone back. Anyway, he had a bad service experience with Google, and so he finally wanted to try out an iPhone for the first time. And he actually ended up taking my 13 Pro. But as part of that, getting the Apple ecosystem and deciding what phone that he wanted to use, he watched the September keynote for, as far as I'm aware, like the first time he's ever watched any Apple events. And so when it was over, he sent me a breakdown of like impressions from a first-time viewer of an Apple keynote. And I thought I'd share his thoughts.
Is he a tech enthusiast to any degree?
Yeah, he's a tech enthusiast. Like, he builds computers and he does like 3D printing. He's very much like an Android-y kind of tech enthusiast. Like, he likes to tinker, and he's always had Androids. He's like, oh, iPhones are like baby toys because you can't modify this and that, you know, like that kind of tech person. So his insight is very unique coming into an Apple keynote. So the first note he sent me was, man, they use a lot of big words to talk about themselves. Kind of what I expected, but rubs me wrong.
Yeah. I think it rubs everyone a little bit wrong, doesn't it? We're just so accustomed to it, though.
Right. It seems worse now than it did. They're like coasting on like, hey, remember when we did more big revolutionary things and everyone was so impressed with us? And now they're like, we put last year's chip in the phone. Isn't this revolutionary? It's like, you're not warranted. All the superlatives aren't warranted anymore, it seems.
Yeah, I guess
his second thought was, dark purple on the Max looks beautiful. Purple on the regular is just a color.
I've seen that.
It's very opposite of my opinion. I think the Max is way too dark, and I like the lavendery kind of purples on the base model phones more. And I have a purple phone here, so when we get to my actual thoughts, I'll tell you what I think now that I have it in my hands. His next note is, I appreciate and like the focus on safety, things like the crash detection and satellite calling. So he thought that was valuable. I think that's a very, not uniquely Apple talking point, but it is very uniquely Apple to at least feign that they care about their users more than any other platform. It's all saving lives is important, but they're selling phones. So there's always a little bit of like an undertone of, there's still a profit motive behind it. But they definitely put more effort into safety and privacy than any other company.
Yeah, I don't think you could be too skeptical about it. If it was just like a flash in the pan to sell this year's phone, you might be really skeptical. But this has been a theme for I don't know how long now. That of course it's designed to sell more phones in the end, but the fact that the company continues for over a long time to put focus on these sort of features.
I know this thought has been played into the ground the last couple of weeks, but they really hit you over the head with like, we're going to save your life with these devices in this keynote more than in the past, I think.
Yeah, that's because of the features that were introduced, though. I mean, car crash detection coming to multiple devices, and then satellite SOS. I mean, that's just the theme of those two features. I don't think there's any other way you can talk about them.
Yeah, I had one moment in the keynote where I was like, I don't know how tasteful this actually is. When they had all of the, I'm sure maybe they were the actual people. I don't know. I assumed they were just actors, but they were reading like the messages sent to Tim Cook about how the Apple Watch saved their lives. And they had the one story from the younger girl whose like dad was in a plane crash, and they like had her sitting in the ruins of like a plane wreckage reading this letter. I was like, that's a little weird, I think.
Yeah, would you like to relive the most traumatic experience probably of your life for our show?
Right.
Help us sell more phones.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we just have to hope that they were actors playing these people.
Right. All right, next note from my brother. Cycle monitoring being encrypted and local was a strong positive nod to the current situation here. Of course, that's in the US specifically. But that was definitely Apple's way of... Are you familiar with Roe v. Wade being overturned in my country recently?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So... Without outright saying that, like, we'll turn over whether or not you're pregnant to like a government agency that requests that. They just kind of said like, that's encrypted. That's not something we can know. So even if we were asked, like, we couldn't tell someone.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the industry has gone that far yet, but it's certainly using that data to sell people things. So even from that point of view, that's a worldwide concern that has been addressed.
Yeah. His next note was, surprised at the prices. I expected them to increase, so staying the same on both 6.1-inch models made me feel good. I think that's true for everyone, even longtime Apple viewers. I know I went to it expecting prices to go up, so I was happy to see they didn't.
Some people in the Apple sphere who write news even said it's actually a price drop because when you consider inflation, the prices should have risen. But I think that's putting a bit too much of a spin on things.
Yeah, especially if you average out prices across the rest of the world. The US didn't see a price increase, but a lot of other countries did. So they're making their money back in other places. Next note was, they cut to the people and away from them strangely. I thought they were going to move on to the Apple Watch Ultra, only to play a commercial for the product they were describing, then go back to describing it. Felt weird. And I think that is just, it's a style that Apple has always used to present. It's like, goes back to Steve Jobs, but maybe is not something that he's used to seeing at Google I/O or something. But this is a very Steve Jobs thing where it's like, I'm going to tell you about this new product, and here's the commercial we made for it. And they play the commercial, and he's like, and then they come back to like starting at whatever. But I think that felt disjointed to a first-time viewer of an Apple keynote.
I guess it's just something you get used to because it's never struck me as odd, and I don't even see it as illogical if there's
Right.
a nice ad for something followed by more information about it. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely feels natural to me, but I've been watching these keynotes for a long time. All right. Next note was, I didn't notice any comment on the charge port for either phone. Retaining USB 2.0 / slower charging even on the Pro? And that's because, yeah, exactly what he assumed.
I don't even want to talk about this situation. It's just beyond ridiculous now. It's like keeping the butterfly keyboard on the MacBook Pro, even though it was bad for 6 years. Now we're keeping a USB 2 Lightning port on a phone that can record in ProRes. What is going on? I mean, the main camera photographer review of the iPhone that we get every year is from Austin Mann, and he had a whole paragraph or chapter dedicated to how hard it is for him to get things off the phone because of Lightning. It's
right. Yeah, you have these studios that do like the whole shot on iPhone movies, and they have to have multiple iPhones because of how long one iPhone has to sit so they can take the video off of it, and they have to switch to another one while they're waiting. And
someone did the maths of how long it would take to get all the data off a phone. I think it was if you recorded a 1 terabyte iPhone full of video, it would take 8 hours to transfer that off the phone.
It especially makes no sense because they have a USB 3 Lightning port that they designed many years ago, and they're just not putting it in the phone for some reason.
Yeah,
so at this point, I can only imagine it's like because they want to sell how much faster the USB-C port is next year or something. I don't know.
I don't see any logic besides a major selling point in the 15.
All right, next note. They never mentioned specifically the watch band connection on the Ultra, but during the 8 presentation, they said the bands work with all Apple Watches, forward compatibility. Oh, that was more of just a question for me. But the answer is yes. Even the Apple Watch Ultra's bands work with the larger Apple Watches, which is very cool. And I think I will be getting an Ultra band at some point because I think they look pretty neat.
That too was a question that I had at the show, at the end of the show. And I believe it was a question that you had in the previous show. So yeah, a pertinent question, well observed by your brother. And yeah, like you said, it's all interchangeable. And yeah, they're really nice on the Ultra. I particularly like the thinnest Apple Watch band yet, which is the Trail band, I believe.
Right. Yeah. I'm excited I want to go feel that in an Apple store or something to really see how thin that is and comfortable. I think the Alpine band is very cool looking. I'm curious exactly how that hook mechanism works to secure it. And I really liked the shade of yellow of the yellow dive band, but I look at it and it looks so uncomfortable and hot and sweaty, like a rubber band like that around my wrist. So I don't think that's what I'm going to be going for.
Yeah, I think the design of that is underwater use primarily.
Right.
I don't think it's a day-to-day watch band. I like the sound of the thin one also for the various wrist pain problems that I've had over this previous year. And I'm wondering if a nice ultra-thin band would alleviate some of those problems. Not that I'm experiencing them at the moment, but something to try.
It's interesting to think that the thinner band would solve your problem when you've currently solved it by going to an even bigger, chunkier band.
Yes, that is true. I've actually this is ridiculous because I know we've talked way too much about this topic, but I've actually gone back to the Sport Loop and not having any issues.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what the hell is going on. In the end, the knockoff steel link bracelet that I got, it pulled too many hairs from my wrist. It was so annoying. Every time I walked around somewhere, it would pluck a little hair out. I couldn't deal with that on an ongoing basis, but I switched back to the Sports Loop, and for some reason, I don't know, that the week or whatever I had the link bracelet on must have moved the tendon over to the right spot now. It's like when a runner puts tape on one side of their knee and they only need to do it once, and then the knee pain is gone. I just needed to have the link bracelet on for a week.
I mean, that's not a crazy thought. Like, maybe you did have a nerve that was like being pinched in just the right way, and you were able to shift the nerve slightly.
Yeah. I hadn't given it serious thought, but maybe that was right.
All right. His next thought was they spent a lot of time on the Apple Watch / Apple Watch Ultra. Kind of expected that to be a smaller portion. I think Apple Watch Ultra was just like the one really new thing they announced at that keynote, so it kind of got a lot of stage time.
In my books, the Ultra was the most exciting thing in the keynote, so yeah, that's why it got stage time.
Yeah. There was a lot of people who the Apple Watch, well, not a lot. There's a niche of people, athletes and endurance runners and things like that the Apple Watch just wouldn't work for them. So the Ultra like opens up the Apple Watch to a whole new group of people. He says, I kind of dig the island layout. I keep trying to pinpoint where the dead zones are, but had a hard time doing so while the presentation was in motion. Yeah, I think that's the whole idea, is the animations around the dynamic island are hiding, where those actual cutouts in the screen are. I think it does a good job of it.
And I mean, by dead zone, does he mean touch dead zone? Because I was under the impression that the digitizer went, covered every part of the screen.
Yeah, my assumption is that he means like the screen dead zone where there's no pixels.
Okay.
But either way, yeah, the dynamic island is a clever implementation for hiding that for sure. He says he digs that they added speakers to the new AirPods case. Seems like a good improvement. Yeah, I think so. AirPods come from a time before Find My network and ultra wideband and AirTags and all of that. So these new AirPods Pro seem like the first AirPods to really be built with that in mind, where it's got the ultra wideband locating and the ability to play speakers. It's kind of like a big AirTag. He said he's surprised the new AirPods retain the stem. He says, I thought they'd get rid of them, but it definitely helps with brand recognition. And I think that's true. There's a lot of brands, including Beats, that have gone stemless. So it's not that Apple doesn't know how to, but it definitely does make it immediately recognizable.
Yeah, keeping them white, keeping the stem, brand recognition as well as usefulness of them, ease of getting in and out, extra controls now on the stem, probably a bigger battery by having a stem there as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I just like the look of not having a hearing aid looking thing in your ear as well. I always find that kind of impersonal. I know you know transparency where people can still talk to you, but when I'm talking to someone that looks like they have their ears completely plugged up by a stemless headphone, it just feels more impersonal. Maybe that's just me.
I feel that way, and with just headphones in general. I don't think the stem being there or not changes the way I feel about it. But I definitely, like when I go on walks, half the time I'm listening to podcasts and half the time I put headphones in so that I can walk past my neighbor's house and pretend I didn't hear them when they try to get my attention.
You are an asshole. What kind of neighbor are you? Maybe they want to borrow a cup of milk.
I've got really good neighbors. They're really great people. I enjoy them quite a bit. But they talk a lot. If I go out to mow my yard, if my neighbor catches me mowing my yard, I will have to stop and have a 3-hour conversation with him before I get back to mowing my yard.
All right. I withdraw my insult. Okay. I withdraw my criticism.
So when I'm on a walk, in the morning before work starts or anything else, I want to get my walking in. I don't want to stop and talk and then have to go back inside.
Yeah, so, there are times you just need to get the walk done and you don't need to stop for 3 hours because you can't. You've got things to do. It's the start of the day.
Right. Okay. Where was I? Oh, he said, weird comment, but if you told me the whole presentation was AI, I'd believe you. So rigidly perfect and accurate. No way that was a one take for anyone.
Oh, well, of course it wasn't a one take for anyone. It's pre-recorded. I bet they did 3 takes, even if the first take was perfect. But that is also a very funny comment. Maybe they're all actually just lizard people in human skin, especially Tim Cook. I can see that.
Yeah, it's funny because even Apple's on-stage presentations were always really polished and well done. And we'd watch something like a Samsung keynote and watch them stumble over their words or their demos and laugh at how unprepared or unprofessional they looked. But then coming from that world and watching an Apple keynote, like, you guys look like robots because you're all doing it so perfectly. It's interesting to hear that from the other side of the aisle.
It'd be better, I think, if he had come into this for the first time to a non-pre-recorded, a live show, because they are much more human and they do make mistakes, even though they are way better. Like, compare it to like a Elon Musk Tesla presentation, and it's barely watchable for the amount that he stumbles over his words. I mean, it's night and day, but I can see where he's coming from. It's nice to have imperfections because it makes them seem more human. It adds a bit of, not noticeable tension, but it adds a bit of tension because something can go wrong, and occasionally does go wrong. But the live ones are just so much slower, so I'm happy to trade more information into less time, especially since I was watching it at 1 a.m. with Johannes on the couch with me because we were both awake.
Were you up for the whole thing, or did you go to sleep halfway through that?
I was up for the whole thing, yeah. I stopped messaging you because I was really tired. So I stopped commenting, but I was up for the whole thing.
What's we got to do sometime is like a live reaction to a keynote.
Well,
I'm sure.
The one in October is going to be at like probably 7 p.m. Germany time. Probably.
Oh, okay.
So we could make that happen.
Well, maybe we should take advantage of that opportunity while it's presented to us.
We'll have to just think about the format so that it's not like dead air and then us saying, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, anyway, we can talk about it later.
Right. Yeah. All right. Final comment from my brother. Another weird take. I get why the Ultra is the shape that it is, but it kind of looks like a flattened mason jar. I'd have taken bigger bezels at the top to have it look just like a bigger Apple Watch. So I think in reference, he's specifically saying that he wished the whole watch was bigger instead of just like the crown guard protruding out. It is different, but I think even with a bigger watch, you'd still need some kind of protrusion to protect the crown from impact. So some kind of crown guard would be warranted no matter what.
The crown being the front of the watch, not the turny thing, right?
Oh no, the digital crown. Yeah, because it's got the protrusions out the side to protect it from like being sheared off from impact with a rock or something.
Yeah. So what doesn't he like about the guard? He wants the whole watch to be bigger and to somehow envelop those side buttons.
Yeah, I think what he's saying is he just wishes that it was just a bigger Apple Watch. So the screen doesn't protrude up slightly and the edges don't come out to wrap around the crown. But I think you can take the Apple Watch design and just scale it up and call it the Ultra, because the Apple Watch's screen wraps around the side of its body, which would make it very susceptible to being cracked. So you need the metal to come up around the screen slightly to protect it from side impact, just like you need the crown guard on the side to protect the crown from getting knocked off.
And I think if they had just made a bigger design of the Series 8, we would have had like, you know how when the iPad came out, everyone was like, just we made an iPhone that's bigger and we called it the iPad and it's a whole new device. I think the same sort of jokes might have been made about the Ultra Apple Watch. We made a Series 8
As-
and it's bigger.
Yeah, coming from his perspective as someone that's new to the ecosystem entirely, like, I could maybe understand why he'd want that, but everyone else who's been seeing the same design of Apple Watch for the last, 5 years is like, we're ready for something different. Like, please don't make the same thing again. So he came by today, and he is now the proud owner of a 13 Pro. And I sent him a text message just before our show started to make sure it came through blue, and it did. And he was telling me that he was trying to get his contacts transferred because he's trying to get them off his SIM card. And I was like, why are you still storing contacts on your SIM card?
What? Contacts on a SIM card? Hello, 2004. Wow. And I also didn't understand your blue comment. What do you mean? Made sure it came through blue. Oh, the iMessage.
I texted him. It was a blue bubble.
Sorry.
That's our whole podcast name, James.
Phone. I thought you were talking about the color of the phone.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. He does have a blue phone, though.
Yeah, that's why I was confused.
So I even gave him... I couldn't keep it because it doesn't match my new phone. So I had to give him the battery pack that I had bought for my trip a month ago because it was blue. So,
1 month old battery pack.
Right.
Oh, he's going to be just swimming in battery life now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
I had a new battery in my 10 since a few months ago, whatever, and I thought that was good. Mm-hmm. But in this 13 Pro Max, I don't think I've seen it go below 85% with my daily usage. It's so I reckon this would probably go me almost 5 days with the amount I use it. It's ridiculous.
You could probably put it in low power mode and not bring a charger with you to Germany.
6 weeks worth a shot. No, but we all know that when you go on holidays, the battery vampire comes along with you because a phone's battery will deplete at least twice as fast when you're not in your home country or when you're on holidays.
Yeah, it's definitely the vampire and not more photos and roaming cell signal and travel applications.
The vampire.
Yeah, it's a vampire.
Travel vampire. There we go. Third potential show title.
There we go. Took a while. We came with another one. All right. Well, I think we're finally at this point. I have a new watch and a new phone in my possession, in my sweet, hot little hands.
I'm glad to hear it. Somewhat surprised that you got a Series 8 and not an Ultra.
It was a very tough call for me, James. I was so close to an Ultra, especially because the price is incredible. $800 for an Ultra? That's literally what I paid for my Series 8. Like, I could have had either one for the same price.
Exactly.
And it was especially tempting because I was ready to buy a titanium Apple Watch this year. And then they dropped the edition, and the only way I could have got titanium was on the Ultra.
The Ultra is only, I think it's less than 10 grams heavier than my stainless steel Series 3. It's not a heavy watch.
Yeah. Titanium is incredibly light. And I regret missing the boat on that. In fact, the very first thing I did after the keynote is I went to Apple's refurbished store to see if I could get a refurbished titanium Series 7, because I would have just done that. But not available, unfortunately. The thing that eventually made it so I didn't order the Ultra is I like being able to wear my Apple Watch all the time. Which for day-to-day uses is fine, but in occasions where I want to dress up, or like even when I'm singing on stage or something, like in a suit, I like being able to just put my Link bracelet on my watch and I can wear it and it looks formal enough even in those settings. And I couldn't do that with the Ultra. And so that was eventually why I decided against it.
But what is it about the Ultra exactly that you don't think dresses up well?
I think it's just too big and chunky looking. Like, it looks like a sport and fitness watch. and putting a metal band on it is not going to dress it up enough. It's still going to be, huge on my wrist, and it's going to be angular, and it's, you don't wear a Garmin fitness watch when you're dressed up.
No,
however,
you don't. Yeah, go on.
I did come to a realization a couple of days after placing my order for my Series 8. I was like, I have my stainless steel Series 5. I could have just kept both and wore the Series 5 when I wanted to dress up and had the Ultra. And
it sounds like the 2-week return window is going to get a workout.
If the Ultra wasn't back ordered at the moment I had that realization, I probably would have canceled my Series 8 and ordered the Ultra, but it was already back ordered, so I gave up.
Yeah. I too went to order an Ultra at one point. I convinced myself that I needed it, and I went. It was like, oh yeah, you need to wait until sometime in the late October to get it. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll just have to sit on this one.
It's that I do this to myself all the time. It's like, if I can have the instant gratification of getting it right now, that's the little push I need to get over the hump to buy it. But if I can't have it right now, I'm just never gonna. I'm never gonna buy it.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way.
But now that I have a Series 8, it's set up. I've had it for all of 4 or 5 hours. I've gone on a walk with it. It's very much the same. Like, the screen is slightly bigger than my Series 5, which is noticeable, but not. It doesn't improve the quality of my interactions with my watch in any real way. And I would have been very happy staying with my Series 5. Like, I don't feel like I needed any feature that I've missed in the last few years. It was just that time. My battery was getting poor enough, and it was just getting old enough that it was time for a new watch. And so I have it, but I'm not excited about it.
I think the only question I've really got about it is, what does the temperature sensing do just throughout the day? Because they build it as something that works as you sleep. But like right now, can you go into some app and see what your body temperature is?
No. So the temperature sensor does not give you your temperature in absolute value at all. In fact, I don't think the watch has any way of knowing what your temperature is. So the first thing it does is it establishes a baseline, and it takes 5 days for it to determine, like, this is your average temperature. And then after that, what it's able to calculate is your delta from that. So it can say, you're a couple degrees warmer than normal or a couple degrees cooler than normal. It doesn't know what your actual temperature is, because I'm sure your wrist is a very inaccurate place to get real body temperature measurements. So what it can do is it can tell you your deviation from the mean, but it can't tell you what those actual values are.
So it's not going to be useful as a, like, I've got a fever right now sort of measurement. You're still going to need to chuck something in your ear to tell if you've got a fever right now.
Right.
Yeah, so besides the reproductive health, there isn't actually anything it's going to do for someone.
Right. I wish I remembered the context I saw this in, but I did see an Apple spokesperson who is asked the question of, I'm not a person who ovulates. What benefit does this temperature sensor bring to me? And their answer was like, well, you can see how it affects your sleep. Things like, I drank before bed. How does that affect my temperature when I sleep? Like, okay, that doesn't sound that appealing or interesting. I'm not really concerned if my activity level throughout the day means that I sleep a couple degrees warmer than normal. There's not any actionable thing I can do with that information.
All right, so it's not too exciting then for a lot of people.
No, it's very unexciting. Just all around, and that's coming from someone who's coming from a 5. So I've got many generations of improvement. I've got a blood oxygen sensor I haven't tried yet.
Ah, that wasn't in the
actually
5.
Totally forgot that's a thing.
Yeah,
it's a 6 thing. All right, let's see. Make sure your watch
Don't
is
have a
not
look.
too low on your wrist. Oh,
Oh, no.
This is an answer to our question we had earlier. Low on the wrist means closer to the hand, according to Apple Watch. According to Apple. Okay, your band should be snug but comfortable. Keep your watch facing up and try not to move, resting your wrist on a table.
So I think you wear your watch
Right.
the opposite of what Apple wants you to wear it. You wear it loose and low. I wear it high and tight.
Well, apparently that's the right way to do it for getting
Okay.
accurate blood oxygen readings.
Well, someone in one of our listeners wears it strangulation, like cut off the blood to your hand.
I don't know what I'm going to do with this information. 3,
I would
2,
guess that you
1.
never check it again, and then someday you'll get a warning, and then it'll prompt you to find out why this has happened.
I don't even know what metric I was expecting, like what kind of measurement I was expecting to get, but I got a 99%. I was expecting like some kind of volumetric measurement, like of amount of oxygen in the blood or something.
Ah, okay.
Is 99% good? I don't know.
Yes, it's normal. I think if you are,
Okay.
if you're below, I don't know. When Hannes was in hospital with pneumonia, they waited until he was reliably over 94% before he was allowed to leave hospital. And when he was really sick, it was in the 80s. That's so like pneumonia
Oh, wow.
in the 80s is my experience. But that's also for a child, so I've got no idea what an adult would be if it corresponds.
Yeah, it seems like blood oxygen, depending on the type of illness, especially if it's respiratory, it seems like a more solid indication of whether you're ill or not than the temperature sensor is going to be.
Oh, most definitely, yeah.
One of the benefits of having a bigger Apple Watch screen is I finally have the on-screen keyboard that I can type with, which I think I will get the hang of. Like having a swipe keyboard on the watch is going to be much quicker than the scribble method that I've been used to when I want to silently respond to someone. It's a little small, but I think it's still better than what I have been doing. And other than that, I don't have any thoughts on the Series 8.
Did you say which strap you got it with?
Yeah, actually, that's an interesting thing. I feel like the first time I ever wore an Apple Watch, it's the white sport band, just the plain white one, which is like what the original Apple Watch came with. And so I put it on, and it made me feel like I was back in 2015 again.
Are you talking about the fluoroelastomer something strap?
Yeah, fluoroelastomer.
That is the
Yeah,
first
is that
strap I
called
had
sport
too.
band?
Yeah, maybe. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Because it was called the Apple Watch Sport.
Yeah. So it's nice they brought white back. I didn't actually have a white band in my collection, so I got that. And also, as far as the stainless steel models go, it was either this or they did like a lot of solo loop options, and I didn't want to have to go through the process of trying to get the perfect wrist measurement to get the right size of solo loop, so I just went with this band.
Yeah, safer to do that sort of thing in person if you could.
Yeah. But kind of cool thing. Are you familiar with the app Time Hop?
No.
Time Hop is an application that like it connects to all of your social media profiles. So like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and it's like connected to my phone's photo library. And you check it every day, and it tells you about what happened on this day, as far back as it can go. So like if I open Time Hop right now, I can see 12 years ago, I've made a Facebook status that says, "The violins will cry and so will I, mamselle," which is a lyric from a song I was learning. Wasn't I so deep as a high schooler?
Oh my goodness. You used to post quotes and
Anyway.
lyrics. Anyway, I think you have told me about this app before because it's starting to sound familiar.
7 years ago today, I actually got my very first Apple Watch. So I did not get one the spring of 2015 when they came out. I played with them. I went to the store. I went to the Apple store ahead of time and did like the the test fit and try on things before you're even allowed to order them. And I had a roommate that ordered a couple because he wanted like both sizes to play with. But I didn't get one until the fall, specifically when they released the gold color options for the Apple Watch Sport. And so on this day 7 years ago, I got a gold Apple Watch Sport. And there's a picture of me setting it up.
What a moment to remember. Thank you, Time Hop. I hope we can do the Time Hop again.
What a coincidence. I have one interesting thing the Time Hop does, and maybe I've shared this with you before. It keeps track of how many days in a row you open the application. And my streak in this app, I have been opening this app every day longer than we've been doing the podcast.
Wow.
1,858 days in a row I've opened this application.
That's a bit of a dark pattern to get people to stay with the app and keep using it.
Right. You get a little ribbon pinned to your profile for every year you add. So I've got my 5-year ribbon already.
Goodness me. I know what they're doing over there. Maybe Mark Zuckerberg could take a leaf out of their book and put that on Facebook.
Yeah, there you go.
It may have the opposite effect, though. It's been 1,000 days since you opened Facebook.
That's actually an app that I made in college. I wanted to make an application that encouraged you not to open it, and so it was a game, and so every time you opened the app, you would like get a score for how long it'd been since the last time you opened it, and you like compete with your friends to see who could not open the app the longest.
Quite an idea.
Didn't
go anywhere though.
I mean, it never left Xcode on my computer. All right. Now for my thoughts on my 14 Pro. I haven't played with it a lot. I've spent a long time tediously installing every application, or almost every application, that was on my 13 Pro and logging into them and making sure my bank accounts work and my authenticator apps are all transferred to the new phone and all of that.
All those pain points when setting up a new phone, hey? Banks and authenticator apps.
Yeah. My first comment is exactly what I feared. It's such a bad shade of purple.
Oh no, really?
I don't hate it. It's fine. It's just not a bright color. I really liked my light blue on my 13 Pro, and this phone, at most angles, in most lighting conditions, you'd look at it and think like it's like a space gray phone. It's like dark gray. If the light hits it just right, you get like a little hint of purple. You're like, oh yeah, it is kind of purple. But you have to really be looking for it, which is a real shame. Especially because I have to go see it in person to be sure. But I think the space black iPhones are going to be the ones to get for this generation, because some of the promo photos I saw look really, really good.
So the full color options are deep purple, space black, silver, and gold.
Mm-hmm. And the silver is very silver this year. Like it's a pure white color. It's not kind of off-white like it's been in the past. So that also looks like a really good color this year.
It looks really close to the white iPhone 10 that I just replaced. But yeah, I think silver is the way to go. But you sent me a photo or a link to someone with a photo of a space black, and it does look really nice. It reminded me of the jet black iPhone 7, which I also had.
I have a jet black now, but when the 7 was new, my daily carry was a matte black 7 Plus. And I think, man, I don't know. That was a really good year. Both of those were good colors in my mind. And the 7 was the first year of product red. Man, the 7 was like peak iPhone colors.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? You're just going to live with this for a year? It's only 12 months. It's only a color. And you're going to be maybe living with a case on it anyway, since that's on the way.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to live with it. It's fine. I don't hate the color. I'm disappointed it's not brighter. So it's not going to hurt my feelings to keep for the next year. Now that I'm looking at it, the flash on the back of these phones is very different than in the past. So the iPhone 5 had a single LED flash. When the 5S came out, the flash turned into like a pill shape, and that was when they introduced the True Tone flash, and they had kind of a warmer and a cooler flash colors that calibrate together. A few years later, was it the 6S or the 7? They turned that into like a quad array, where it was still you had warm and cool, but there was like 2 LEDs for each. And they carried that up through the 13 Pro. But now I'm looking at the back of the 14 Pro, and it's completely different design. It doesn't have quad flash. It looks like a bullseye. There's like an outer ring that looks like it's the cooler color, and then there's like a middle circle that is the warmer color.
Yeah, well, that's for the new telephoto flash option, so it can direct the beam at a narrower angle and hit something further away at a higher intensity, I believe.
Interesting. Yeah, I remember hearing something about them updating the flash. I just wasn't aware that they changed the whole design.
That was in the keynote, wasn't it?
All right. The dynamic island. I've gotten very, very little use out of it so far. I've played music and seen the live wave forms across the top. I've gotten and answered phone calls from it. And it seems like it has a pretty cool future ahead of it. I'm excited to see how some applications adopt it. And I was really happy to see, this isn't really a use of the dynamic island, but Apollo has already been updated to kind of take advantage of it. Did you see that?
I saw it just before the show. Go ahead, describe it for us.
So the official APIs for integrating applications with a dynamic island aren't out until 16.1. So it can't do any of the cool live activity statuses or anything else. But what Christian has done is he's created a little Tamagotchi style pixel pet that when you're inside of Apollo, it lives on top of the dynamic island and just sleeps and walks back and forth on top of the little pill, so that those pixels above the dynamic island aren't wasted space.
Trust Christian to come up with such a cute little feature like that.
Yeah, he's always right on the bleeding edge of there's a new feature, it's got to be incorporated into Apollo somehow. And so I've got a little axolotl.
Not the way you'd expect. He always makes something fun out of it.
Yeah, he really, brings the joy into software development, I guess. One thought about the dynamic island is it's actually made me consider going back to light mode on my phone, because you can't even tell it's there in dark mode. It hides so well in the UI. And I kind of want to see it stand out and see those animations and notifications grow and shrink from it. And when my whole UI is black, it looks like they're just kind of coming out of the top of the phone still.
So that's when you're in an app that's just really dark? Is that what you mean?
Right. Yeah. If I go in any application that's dark, even if I just open settings or something, you can't tell it's there at all. Or if I'm in Apollo or anything else, I have my little axolotl walking back and forth across the top of the dynamic island in Apollo, but I can't tell where the edges of the dynamic island are. It just looks like he's floating up there. If I was in light mode, I could tell he was sitting on top of something.
Maybe you should just use the auto switching, and then you'll have the best of both worlds then.
Maybe. I have definitely been changing my my sleep habits, but also my screen time habits. And one thing I've done, and this is way overdue because this was a feature from 2015 as well, I believe. I'm finally using night shift. So come 9 o'clock, all of my phones and my computers and all my iPads, they go warmer for the night, which is not something I've ever done before.
Okay. I was a night shift user until True Tone came out, and then I didn't bother using night shift after that. Because, at night you're typically in a fairly warmly lit room anyway, so the screen would make that shift anyway. But
so you're saying the color temperature of the lights in your house change?
No, it's
at
just
nighttime?
that during the day I'm typically using ceiling lights, and I have most of mine closer to a daylight color temperature, whereas at night I'm normally using lamps, and all my lamps are much warmer yellow. So then the phone just adapts to those.
Maybe I need to switch to just lamps. I just have all my lights in the house on all the time.
Really? Yeah, okay. None of my lights are dimmable lights. And
it's all automatic for me. So like when I leave the house, they all turn off, and when I get home, they all turn on. I never have to flip a light switch or anything else. They're just always on. Do
you have the adaptive color balance lights? I think that came out in iOS 15. And I've looked into it occasionally, but it's like one of those features that hasn't spread wide and far enough yet to make it to something that I would buy.
Yeah. I've got some. The problem is that I bought a lot of my smart lights before this was a feature, because Hue used to have color bulbs and white bulbs, and I had a lot of white bulbs because they're a lot cheaper than the color ones. But the night shift only works for the color bulbs, or not night shift, the ambience only works for colored bulbs, or Hue came out with like this middle category that's called white ambience bulbs that does support the color temperatures. And I have a few of those bulbs. Like I do have them in my bedroom specifically. My lamps in my bedroom change. But the rest of my bulbs in my house I've had for too long, so they don't support it.
So yeah, I guess as you walk around the house, the tone of your phone, if you weren't using night shift but were using True Tone, the tone would just change depending on which room you are in, I suppose. Whereas night shift is just a one and done solution.
So I'm trying to make myself go to bed at a more reasonable time now. Like I'm asleep by 10 o'clock now. I'm an old man, I guess.
I won't tell you what time I go to sleep.
And then I've configured my bedroom specifically to wake me up in the mornings. So I've got this isn't a HomeKit thing, but it's built into Hue's app, where like I want to wake up at 6. So my bedside lamps start to like slowly ramp up their brightness. I don't even know what, some period of time before 6, so they reach peak brightness at 6 o'clock. So those slowly start ramping up, and then at 6 o'clock, my iPhone starts playing like outdoor bird sounds and things like that. That's kind of my alarm. And then at 6:15, like my ceiling lights come on. It's like, okay, now it's time to get up.
Yeah, I love that feature. I don't use it anymore, but that was the whole reason I got into smart lighting in the first place, was to have a light that would slowly wake me up in the morning instead of a or something like that from the phone.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's my first time ever trying it, but I've liked it over the last week or so. I've been doing it.
What else about the iPhone 14 Pro is noteworthy?
Well, I haven't had it long. I think the selfie camera is obviously way nicer. Like the autofocus is a big deal for everything to be in focus no matter where I'm holding my phone. So that's really nice to have. the main shooter, I'm sure, is great. I haven't taken a single photo with this phone yet. So, this time in a couple of weeks when I've gotten to play with it some more and compare it to older photos, I'll have a real thought on that. The always on display, it's very bright. Like it's sitting on a charger next to me here, and I could realistically think my phone is still on and the screen is just dim because it's very legible.
I'll be interested to see how that works at nighttime, what your experience is with that next time we talk.
I think, yeah, I haven't actually slept with it yet, but I thought I had seen in a review that it was smart enough to turn off at night time, but it might have to do with using like a sleep focus mode. I don't know. I'll have to play with it.
That whole when is the phone screen always on? When is the always on phone screen on? Was not really covered in the keynote because it's not really an always on phone screen. For instance, I read that if you're wearing your watch and you leave the phone behind somewhere, it'll turn the screen off. It's like when the phone knows you're there or doesn't know that you're gone, the screen will be on. But if it knows you're away, it'll try and save some battery life for you.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clever implementation. And it still uses proximity sensors to tell when it's in the pocket or something, so it's not on in your pocket either.
Yeah, and face down and all that good stuff.
Right.
So I suppose at night, if your phone was in the bed or on a nightstand, you could just... Oh, no, you wouldn't put it face down because then the charging situation would be a little bit messed up probably.
Yep, I'll have to see what it does. I'm pretty sure, like, my phone has my sleep schedule programmed into it because it does like the wind down things and stuff. So maybe the always on display will be smart enough to know to like not be always on past 10 p.m. I'll have to see. But other than that, it's just a phone. I don't have any. There's not really any new exciting features. I didn't get in a car crash to test a crash detection. I can't even test a satellite SOS calling. So there's not a lot of new to experience yet, unfortunately.
Oh, you can't make a call over the satellite. It's just a message. But I was disappointed.
Right. Or you can share your location.
Yeah. Disappointed that it's limited to North America. Maybe even the United States. No, I think it's North America.
Right. Satellites work everywhere.
The satellites are everywhere, but I suppose the company that they've partnered with just has geostationary satellites over North America.
They did also mention that Apple themselves set up relay centers for instances where your text couldn't be forwarded to emergency responders. So it could be a case that they just don't have their own like relay centers in those other countries yet.
That is just logistical endeavor to have relay centers in. I mean, to have a relay center at all, and then to know who all the local emergency services providers are, and then to scale that to worldwide, where you've got other languages and I don't know, probably other satellite providers and I don't know, other frequency bands. I don't even know, but for the amount of functionality it provides, it is such a massive undertaking. But it also is also such a differentiating feature.
Yeah, no one else is doing this.
No one else is doing it. It's potentially, undoubtedly going to save lives. Yeah, I love it as a feature. And I can't wait for it to be available in Australia. You know, Australia is normally one of the top 3 or 5 markets for something. So, yeah, I really hope it's coming in the iPhone 15. It's interesting that it's
hopefully it comes
free for 2 years. It's almost like they don't know how much it's going to cost, so they don't know how to bill it. Like, how many people are going to use this and how much data is it going to cost us each year? let's just trial it for a couple of years, and then we know what to bill people. I was, in fact, surprised that it was going to be a paid thing at all, because the amount of data it seems able to send is just minuscule. I suppose satellite data is extremely expensive. I don't really know how it works. I thought it was cheap because, people send like whole TV stations via satellite, but whatever, apparently it's expensive. But yeah, I found that interesting.
I think
in 2 years we'll find out what it costs Apple, I suppose.
I think there's a strong chance that we might never hear about it again, or they might opt to continue covering the costs indefinitely. It just seems like a bad look to like, yeah, your phone could technically save your life, but you got to pay us money first.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so many people will not even pay the $2.50 to have their phone backed up to iCloud. So the barrier to paying for something is like $1. Like, just let everyone have it and let these lives be saved.
Now, if they do something like, it works for 2 years with the purchase of an iPhone. If you get a new phone every couple years, then I guess you technically have it indefinitely, but I don't know. It just seems like there's not a good way to sell that message of charging for this feature. So I'd be surprised if they ever actually do.
What else do we have to talk about with the iPhone? More battery life?
Technically, according to Apple's claims, I saw some test that I need to save my sources. I say this too much, but I did see there was a battery test that the 14 Pro was getting worse battery life than 13 Pro, which seems wrong because it does have a bigger battery, and the processor's on a smaller node, so there's no way that it should have worse battery life.
Okay, I thought I'd read the opposite, but I actually haven't, I think, read any reviews besides
Apple's tech specs say it's better, so it could just be an early operating system hiccup, or indexing or whatever too. No one testing the battery life on an iPhone has had it long enough for it to completely finish its initial indexing run or whatever yet. I did get the 1 terabyte phone this year.
Oh, you did you? Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. We'll see how long that lasts. Like in terms of what I do next year, I might at that point just flip the toggle and get like a 256 phone and be fine. But for now, I'm going to be carrying all my photos and videos with me. But first, I got to get them all on my phone. Downloading 500 gigabytes of photo and video is going to take a while.
Yeah, and then it has to do all the ML stuff on it to identify faces and all that. That's going to take a while.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I've noticed the screen brightness. It's been an overcast day, so even when I was outside with my phone, it didn't need to be on full brightness, but I'm sure I'll get a day in the next couple weeks here before the next time we talk where it's sufficiently bright out that I can see the 2000 nit peak brightness.
And also how long it can sustain that for, because we know that iPhones can't stay at peak brightness on a hot sunny day in full sunlight anyway, because they just get so hot that they have to ramp down the brightness. So yeah, give that a shot. Also, if you could test out GoPro mode, I'd be keen to see your results from that.
Oh yeah, I actually totally forgot about that. Yeah, that'll be an easy one to test. So it seems like it basically only works outside because it complains about it being too dim when you're like in inside lighting conditions.
Well, I think it uses the ultra wide camera, doesn't it? Because it has to crop so heavily on the image.
So when you turn the action mode on, it does default to the ultra wide. You can toggle back to the main wide camera afterwards, and it still lets you do that, but yeah, it's just a pretty severe crop. And even sitting in my office now, when I got the action mode on, I just got a message that says more light required. So, and this is not a dimly lit room or anything.
The ultrawide is a narrower aperture, so it's got just lets less light in. So it would need a brighter situation.
I'm scrolling through the iPhone's tech specs page, trying to see if there's anything else.
We can save some things until next week as well. I mean, we've almost gone 2 hours now, and we haven't even mentioned the AirPods Pro.
Oh yeah. All right. But I desperately need your help with that. Let's do a sign off, and then I got a question for you about it.
I'm James VDM on Reddit and Twitter.
And I'm Jellywoot on Reddit and D3 Codes on Twitter.
And the show notes will be available at reddit.com/r/bluebubblepod. All
right, so I ordered the AirPods Pro. They're still set to be delivered next Friday, which is their release day. But
same as the Apple Watch release day? Apple Watch Ultra?
The Ultra release day, yep. Every single day, I'm like moments away from canceling the order, though.
Don't cancel it. What's your reservation? But you need them.
I know. We talked about it specifically for like mowing the yard, which that specifically is not a compelling reason to be buying it right now because I'm like
it's going
nearing the end of the season for mowing my yard.
Yeah.
It's about to be winter. So it's like if I was just buying them for that, I could wait until spring and then buy them. My routes that I go on from my walks have started taking me down a busy road. And so on my walks recently, I've been thinking it'd be nice to have the noise canceling so I can actually hear my podcasts over the cars. So that's still a compelling reason to buy them. But really the issue is just that the same reason I've never bought AirPods Pro before is I'm not excited about the in-ear headphones. It's never been a style of headphone I've really liked. I think I'm going to wait to get them still, but there's a strong chance they'll be going back to the Apple Store unless I'm just like blown away by this noise canceling.
What is it about the in-ear style that you dislike?
I just find it uncomfortable. But this is also, like having things shoved in my ears. This is an old thought though, because I think the last time I actually wore in-ear headphones was high school. So more than 10 years ago. So maybe things have changed. I don't know. But I'm gonna give it a shot. But I'm not optimistic, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, I guess just use that 2-week return window if it doesn't work out for you. Give them a good bash while you can.
Yeah. I did find a cool application in these last couple of weeks that has made using Stage Manager on my Mac way better.
Oh, okay.
It's a program. You can get it on the Mac App Store. It's called Dropover. And it's free. There's a lifetime unlock upgrade. It's like $2 that I paid for. But you get like a free couple weeks, I think, before you have to pay for it. And even if you don't pay for it, it still kind of works. It's kind of got, I think it just runs a little slower. I don't actually know what happens if you don't pay for it because I bought it right away. I liked it so much. But anyway, what Dropover does is it helps me when I'm moving files, because the one thing I really don't like about Stage Manager is dragging files from one place to the other, because you've got to hover the file over the window or whatever on the side and wait for it to pop up Stage Manager, switch it to the in focus window, and then you can drop it. But what drop over does is you can grab a file, and when you're holding it, you can just shake it slightly, and like this little shelf pops up that you can set the file on, and then it like persists across Stage Manager. So you can click into the next Finder window or whatever. I don't know what they're called on the side, the groups. You can click into the next group, and then you can drag that file off that shelf into wherever you want.
I think they're called recents or something like that. At least that's the toggle in the iPad setting. Recent apps.
So, and the shelf works for more than one file. Like once you have the shelf open, you can put as many things on there as you want, and then open up the next thing and drop them in there, which is my main use case for it. It has more advanced features, like it has the ability to share things. So you could like drop a bunch of things on the shelf and then click share, and it takes those and it like everything you have on that shelf and it zips it and uploads it to like a file sharing, and then it gives you a link to share to someone else so you can quickly share files with people. But it's very cheap.
Command tab or command tilde when like you start dragging, and then you can just command tab to wherever you want to drop.
I don't know. Does that work across Stage Manager?
I don't know. I've never used it on the Mac.
Yeah, that's not something I've tried to do. Maybe that would have been a way to do it too. Maybe I'm making it more complicated, but I like drop over. So
yeah, sounds useful.
Yeah, give it a try.
I don't have a Mac with Stage Manager.
But you don't have to have Stage Manager.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't made for Stage Manager. I just found it useful with Stage Manager.
I found one little Stage Manager tweak that makes it slightly more usable on the iPad while with an external monitor while we're still in this beta phase, because there are a lot of apps that don't work in Stage Manager, and then even when you like disconnect the external monitor, go into normal mode, and then those apps still don't work. But I've discovered the Stage Manager size classes that are screwing them up. So if you limit yourself to opening those apps on the iPad screen, where it's just always in like full screen mode, then they don't get screwed up. So you can kind of make Stage Manager and external monitor life a little bit more bearable during this beta season on the iPad that way.
What is your opinion of Stage Manager now that you've lived with it a little longer? Do you think it's going to be ready to go in a month?
No. I would be shocked. There are very fundamental bugs that I just respring the iPad like all the time. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like I said last time, I don't find the what do you call it, the usage paradigms too wrong. There are some things that are wacky, like sometimes it's tricky to know what you've got in focus. Like if I Alt Tab now, Command Tab. If I Command Tab now, like, am I going to see this on the external monitor or on my iPad? Again, all my usage is external monitor based. I never use it on the iPad itself. But yeah, I can get by, but it just crashes all the time, and none of the apps are ready. So yeah, a month would shock me.
Oh man, I wonder if it ends up being something I don't know, just scrap until next year, give it another year's worth of work, or they just release it. And
I mean, they have to release iOS 16 for the iPad, so maybe they add it as a feature in beta toggle.
Oh yeah, that certainly sounds like something they would do. They just release it and blame all the app developers so it doesn't work. It's like they haven't updated their app yet. It's their fault.
Yeah.
Did you see Spotify sent out an email to all their users and encouraging them not to upgrade to iOS 16?
Why?
They said they said there's a major audio playback bug in iOS 16, and it will cause Spotify to not work anymore. So don't upgrade. And in reality, it was just like they never bothered to like update their app for iOS 16 or like rebuild it.
Awesome.